Well, good morning and welcome everyone to the second Responsible AI Network webinar series. I'm very excited today to be bringing you Responsible AI Engineering by Qinghua and Muneera, who are from Data 61, CSIRO, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them as we kick off the webinar. But first of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land that I'm presenting from today. And I pay my respect to the elders past, present and emerging. And I also acknowledge the Gadigal people, for those of you who are, for Qinghua, who's coming to you from Sydney. A little bit about this talk. Today you're going to hear from Dr. Qinghua Lu. She leads the development and operationalization of guidelines like patent catalogues for developers and other stakeholders to implement AI responsibly. She's going to share with us system-level responsible AI challenges, the end-to-end, top-to-bottom risk assessment and that you can achieve when you're thinking about responsible AI. She's also going to delve into a range of patent-based risk mitigation methodologies that allow you to take these patents and apply them to your responsible AI engineering frameworks. And very exciting, we also are looking at the foundation model as well. So I think you'll find that very interesting. Qinghua is also going to cover some knowledge-based automated tools that have been built using the ChatGPT platform as well. After Qinghua, we're going to be joined by Dr. Muneera Bano. She will be sharing her research work on how to make artificial intelligence responsible and ethical. She's going to begin by explaining, what does ethical and people-focused AI means? And then she's going to take us on a journey around how that is expressed in a requirements engineering perspective. And then she'll share ways to enable these principles into practice when building AI systems that are fair, unbiased, and inclusive. So just to allow us to think about where we are today. So at the moment, we're in this accelerating AI wave, which presents concerns around trust, privacy, security, and data quality. But we also see the potential of AI to alleviate so many challenges, from health to environment, to societal innovation, accessibility, and a range of other AI benefits. But with so much complexity and everything generating data, we have a moment in time to engage in responsible AI. So not only is everything generating data, we also have generative AI that has changed everything. With 30% of professionals already using ChatGPT, 68% using AI tools, which are informing their organisation, leaders saying that their company is considering ways to use generative AI, and 97% of global workers believing business should prioritise employee AI skills development, as well as leaders saying that employees don't have enough skills to leverage the technology. So today, we're really trying to embrace these changes that generative AI and responsible AI is bringing with the Responsible AI Network, which is about uplifting the practice of responsible AI across Australia's commercial sector. And we're doing that across a range of pillars: law, standards, principles, governance, technology, leadership, and design. And these today, we're focusing on the work that CSIRO Data 61 does across principles, governance, and technology and design. In the upcoming webinars, we will touch on responsible AI operation of large language models in organisations by Gradient Institute, and this will be more technology focused. And we also have the upcoming second event around AI concepts, terminology and AI lifecycle, brought to you by Standards Australia on the 6th of July. The date has changed a little. But now, without further ado, I'd like to invite you to this first webinar of Introduction to Responsible AI Engineering. It's organised by the Responsible AI Network in partnership with CSIRO Data 61. And we're going to be doing things like guiding you through responsible AI creation methods and practice, explain how to put AI ethics and principles into practice, explore the different levels of governance required for responsible AI systems. We're going to show you how to create responsible AI design using the Responsible AI Pattern Catalogue, how to build the foundation model-based systems, and we're also going to discuss responsible AI in the era of ChatGPT, and we're going to close with diversity and inclusion requirements for responsible AI. Thank you very much, and now I'm going to hand over to Qinghua to kick off.
Okay, thank you, Rita, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Can you see my slides?
Perfect.
Thank you, Rita. Good morning, everyone. Today, my colleague Muneera and I will give an introduction about our responsible AI engineering approach. So before we start, just want to quickly introduce our responsible AI team. We formed the responsible AI team at DataSys 18 months ago, and the core team include around 30 people. If you count all the related projects, sorry, we have around 50 people contributing to responsible AI research, and half of the team are female. And our team is multidisciplinary, so we have colleagues with different backgrounds, including software engineering, machine learning, user interaction, social science, statistics. And two colleagues in our team are included in the world top 20 software engineering scientists ranking. And we have published a research roadmap paper on responsible AI engineering in the first AI engineering conference, and our paper has won ACM Distinguished Paper Award. We recently completed the first responsible AI book for practitioners, and the book will be published in November this year by Pearson Addison Wesley. In addition to the science team, we also have an engagement team to provide feedback to our research and help us understand market need. Our team include Australian AI Standard Chair, former Red Cross Australian CEO, and we also have a dedicated AI diversity leader. They are also leading the National AI Center think tanks. And we are now establishing a responsible AI engineering research community. For example, we organized the first workshop on responsible AI engineering under the top software engineering conference, ICSI 2022. And we have co-organized the second IEEE International Conference on AI engineering. And we have organized several special issues in IEEE flagship magazines like IEEE Computer, IEEE Software, IEEE Transactions on Artificial Intelligence. So that's our team. Why we need responsible AI? Here I put some incident headlines to show although AI has a huge potential to change the industries and the society, but people still have many concerns about AI systems' behavior, whether they can make decisions in a responsible way. So what is responsible AI? Here I put a definition from our book. So you can see the main aim of responsible AI is to provide benefits to the society while minimizing the risk of negative consequences. So in our definition, we emphasize system-level practice rather than algorithm-level solutions. And to implement responsible AI, many countries have released AI ethics principles, and also Australian government released 8 AI ethics principles in 2018. I think the principles are very useful and helpful to promote the responsible AI and also improve awareness of responsible AI basic principles. But the problem with the principles is they are very high level. It's very challenging to turn the principles in practice. So for example, if you look at the principle itself, it doesn't tell you how, for example, the accountability principle can be designed for, implemented, monitored throughout the entire life cycle of AI systems. And if you look at the existing solutions in academia and in industry, most of the solutions are still at algorithm level, talking about data privacy or algorithm fairness. But ethical issues can happen at any step of the AI system development lifecycle, can be cross-cutting different components, not just AI model components and data components. So here I put a figure to show some example risk which could happen at different phases of the lifecycle. For example, in the planning stage, there could be unethical application. And when you collect the requirements, the functional requirements could be unethical. And when you design the user interface for your AI applications, the dark patterns could be included in your interface. And there could be also ethical issues with your test cases. So to fill the gap between the high-level principles and algorithm-level solutions, we focus on a new approach called responsible AI engineering. So here I give a definition for the responsible AI engineering. So it involves employing engineering methods, practices, and platforms tools to address end-to-end system-level challenges, making both AI systems and their development processes responsible. And here we show some of the responsible AI methods, responsible AI engineering methods we have developed. For example, for the engineering methods and practices, we have built a responsible AI pattern catalog for risk mitigation, and we have collected a set of risk assessment methods to do the concrete measurement for different types of AI risk in the projects. And we have built a responsible AI knowledge graph and question bank to help practitioners to understand their organization's AI risk. And we have worked on bill for material generator to help manage AI supply chain risk. And we also have developed a dark pattern detector to manage the dark patterns shown on the interface of your AI applications. In our work, we consider all types of the stakeholders in AI ecosystem. We classify the stakeholders into 3 levels, including industry level, organization level, and team level. So for the team level, they are basically the roles in the development team. And organization level stakeholders include board members, senior executives, middle level managers, and employees. And in our industry level stakeholder group, we, in addition to AI users and responsible AI governors, regulators, we also include AI technology, AI solution producers and procurers. And we started our work from a mapping study of all the existing risk assessment frameworks, which we try to understand the gaps in this area. So we have identified one of the major problems is there's lack of concrete and connected methods for assessing AI system risk. So what we mean by that, for the measurement, the risk, there can be different risk factors, not only hazard, but also exposure, vulnerability, and risk introduced by mitigation solutions. And also, instead of just relying on people's subjective view on the risk, we call for tools and techniques for doing assessment. And for the risk control, we need reusable solutions. And based on this mapping study, we have built a question bank. The current version derived from 5 major AI risk frameworks, including NAIC standard, EU standard, Canada, NSW, and Microsoft framework. And the current version has around 300 questions. So if you look at this figure, for example, under transparency and the explainability principle, we have 4 categories under this principle. For explainability, we have collected 10 questions to understand the explainability of the system, and we have collected 4 questions for the assessment of explainability. And we are currently mapping the questions with standard items, stakeholders, life cycle stages, and the patterns for risk mitigation. And we are also identifying the measurement metrics and methods from the existing frameworks. And to mitigate risk, we propose a pattern-oriented approach. So we have collected more than 60 patterns as reusable solutions to help manage the AI risk. We classify those patterns into 3 groups. The first group is called multi-level governance patterns. So it can help the practitioners to make sure their project management process or development process are compliant with standard and regulations. And the second group is called development process patterns. So the main purpose is to ensure the trustworthiness of the development process of AI system. And the third group is product patterns. So those product patterns can be viewed as components or product features of the AI system. So by using the product patterns, we can build responsible AI by design into the architecture of the AI system. And sorry, here on the right side, we have defined a template to describe the pattern details. So in addition to the traditional software engineering pattern template, we also added target users of the pattern, impacted stakeholders, the benefits and drawbacks of the pattern. And we are adding a new field called related standard items. So by adopting our patterns, the practitioners can make sure their AI products are compliant with the related standard. And here is an example of the pattern called AI mode switcher. So you can see every pattern starts from a very brief summary of this pattern. Then we explain the type of the pattern. So this pattern is a product pattern. Then we also explain the type of the objective, whether it's designed for improving trustworthiness or trust, and who are the target users. For this pattern is architects and developers, and who are impacted by this pattern. What are the relevant AI ethics principles? So we also explain the context and the problem and solution details. So for this pattern, the users can use this pattern to activate or deactivate the AI component whenever needed. So it's like a kill switch button in the system, so it can immediately shut down the AI component and stop its negative effects at runtime. And also we analyze the benefits, so it includes increased trust and also improved autonomy. Also we explain the drawbacks for this pattern, like inefficiency or suitability to real-time system. So at the end of the description, we also give examples what are the known uses. So that's the existing application of this pattern. And these slides gives an overview of all the patterns that we have collected. So for the governance pattern, as you can see, we have industry level governance pattern, organization level governance pattern, and team level governance pattern for different groups of stakeholders' interest. And we also organize the process pattern into different phases of the system lifecycle. And we put product patterns into different layers of the architecture, including operation infrastructure layer, the system layer, and the supply chain layer. And those patterns can be connected via different levels and aspects. So for example, at industrial level, there's a pattern called regulatory sandbox. It can define some requirements about some high-risk AI technology. So in order to achieve this pattern, we could have some organization-level pattern like ethical risk assessment or bill of material to manage the third-party components. And team level, we could adopt a verifiable claim platform to manage the ethical qualities of different AI system artifacts. And in the process patterns, we could have a responsible AI governance by API. So we provide this technology through APIs to manage who can use this technology. And in the architecture design, we can have a component called bill of material registry. So we can use this registry to maintain all the information about the third-party AI components. And we have collaborated with different Australian companies to evaluate the usefulness of the pattern catalog. And one case study we have done is with a major bank's chatbot team. So we help them understand what could be the potential risk at different stages of their chatbot development process. And we also recommend the patterns. For example, for the monitoring stage, we have identified there can be 4 types of risk, including missing or wrong metrics, unethical questions from the users, unethical responses generated by the chatbot, and biasing the user feedback. Then we also recommend for 5 patterns to help them, so they can consider to use them in their development process. And we are developing some toolkits for senior management. One toolkit is called Responsible AI Bot Toolkit. So it includes a set of questions and patterns as sample answers for those questions. So by using this toolkit, the board members can understand their organization's responsible AI maturity level. And we have designed a card game. So we use AI incident to drive the game process. We ask the players what could be the relevant principle for the given incident and what patterns they could use to help mitigate the related risk. And we are also developing a question answering tool for AI risk assessment. To support the conversation, we have built a responsible AI knowledge graph, which include the AI incident database, the question bank, and our pattern catalog. And the current version is built on top of ChatGPT. So we have adopted some prompting patterns in our design to ensure the quality of the conversations. But we plan to just use the conversation data as training data, so we can later have our own fine-tuned local model to support the tool. And here is a demo for this tool. So assume a board member read an article in the morning, and it's an article about chatbot incident. So he has some concern about their organization's own chatbot for science. So he come to our website and ask, I came across this news article this morning, and our organization is currently developing a chatbot for science. So I'm wondering if we might face similar AI risk. So our tool automatically summarizes the article based on the predefined template. And if it cannot find the sufficient information from the article itself, it will go to the internet to make the augment. And we match this incident based on the summary with the relevant instance in our incident database. And on the right side, you can see the console shows the intermediate process. So it's a pattern called think aloud. So the users can understand what's happening behind the screen. So it shared like the intermediate process, the decision-making process, the AI system has done for the risk assessment job. And we also explain the reasons for recommending those 3 relevant incidents. For each incident, we explain the summary and explain the related AI ethics principles. So after we explain the reasons, we ask the stakeholder, so which principle this stakeholder is interested in. So this board member answered 4, so that's accountability. Then the tool would like to understand more context information. So it extracts more questions from the question bank. The first question is, do you have a formal procedure in place to approve the release of your AI chatbot? So the stakeholder answered yes. Then the tool asks the second question, have you clearly defined the boundary between acceptable and unacceptable risk? So he answered not yet. Then the tool asks follow-up questions until it feels it has collected enough context information to give the assessment. So because we are still working on the metrics, so we just give a very brief summary of the risk assessment. And based on the keyword, we link with our pattern catalog. So recommend the related patterns for the stakeholders to consider to manage their AI risk. So based on the project experience and our recent study, we have also designed the reference architecture for building a foundation model-based system. So this reference architecture also has 3 layers, the system layer, supply chain layer, and operation infrastructure layer. For each layer, we have embedded some design patterns for responsible AI. For example, for operation layer, we have a responsible AI black box. So it can record the critical information or data at runtime. For example, we can record the input or output of the vector database. So later we can use the data recorded by the black box to identify liability if some incidents happen. And we also have some patterns for the interaction components. So that's the prompt patterns. For example, the think aloud pattern we just use in our risk assessment tool. So it can help to improve the user trust and transparency. We also have a governance via API pattern. So in between the foundation model and the API, we can manage the quality of the conversation by modify the prompts or refuse the prompts. And we also design a framework for building the foundation model-based system. So in this framework, we analyze the different design options and also the trade-offs of different software quality attributes. So we have 3 categories under this design framework. The first group is called foundation model pre-training and fine-tuning. So whether to use conventional AI models or use external foundation models or build your sovereign foundation model, there are different quality concerns and cost concerns. And we also analyze what kind of pre-training data can be used. For example, the large unlabeled general data or domain-specific data, and how you fine-tune the model using in-context learning or use full fine-tuning method or parameter-efficient fine-tuning method. And the second group is system architecture design. So we need to understand the foundation model's role in architecture design. For example, whether to use it as communication connector or coordination connector to manage the complex workflow. Or you can use it as a facilitation connector to do the logging or monitoring. And we need to think about how to communicate with foundation models, whether you want to prompt every task or you use an agent to help you manage the workflow. So you can provide feedback for the hybrid agent. And another major decision may be the integration of the internal data of the enterprises. So you can do it through the prompt, but because there's a context window limit, and you also need to keep updating your internal data. So maybe you need to consider to use a vector database to make the semantic search for the relevant unstructured data source. And there can be also some options for deployment of foundation models in terms of the model size, location, and the serving types. And the last category is called responsible AI by design. So we summarize model level mechanisms and system level mechanisms. For example, to ensure to check the outcome from the foundation model, you could have the verifier in the loop. It can be a human verifier or another AI assistant verifier. So, sorry, that's all about my talk. So to recap, we focus on system level responsible AI challenges. We work on end-to-end, top-to-bottom risk assessment methods, and we use patterns to mitigate the risk. And we have developed a set of knowledge graph-based tools for engineering responsible AI systems. So now I will head over to my colleague Muneera to give an introduction about our requirement engineering work.
Thank you, Qinghua. Let me share my screen. Can you see the presenter view? Okay. Hi, everyone. So thank you so much, Qinghua, for building the context around what it means by the responsible AI. And I will straight away move towards the requirements engineering part, and specifically then focus on the project that we are doing under the diversity and inclusion in AI. So before moving forward, I would acknowledge my previous PhD students, Khulud Ahmed, and my colleagues from Deakin University and Monash University, with whom I was working on this human-centered AI project. And also we moved into the requirements engineering part within that project. So some of the work will be referred here, and those who are interested in further details can look at some of the good work that she has produced as a publication. So before going deep into what why we are interested in RE for AI. I think quite a number of concepts that get floated around, like human-centered AI, ethical AI, responsible AI, and then we are now talking about diversity and inclusion in AI. So they're all interconnected concept, but there's a subtle difference if we look at it. So when talking about the human-centered AI, what we are doing is prioritizing the human needs, values, and abilities. And that really influence the requirements to ensure the AI system is a user-centric, intuitive, and meaningful. With ethical AI, it's about AI respecting the moral principles, which are very social in the nature, but they kind of shape the requirements that way we want the AI system to be fair and respect the human rights. When responsible AI, Qinghua has already given the definition, and what we are trying to achieve here is transparency, accountability, and safety. So these are the requirements that will be collected for the system. And finally, the diversity and inclusion in AI, which is the project that I will be introducing later. Now we are very much focusing on the human diverse attributes and how to make these systems inclusive. So requirements engineering kind of translate all these concepts, try to collect the data and make the meanings out of it to convert them into practical, measurable requirements that will guide the development of an AI system. So all these connected concepts, we can see they're connected, but we will be looking at them from a lens of requirements engineering, which was my field of expertise, and how to actually operationalize all these concepts and principles and frameworks into something that is more meaningful and measurable. So requirements engineering research that I just mentioned with my student Khulud, we found out that traditionally what stages of the requirements engineering have been defined in are standard and are being used, like elicitation, specification, modeling, verification, and management. When it comes to design of AI system, there are certain other unique features of the AI system itself that require some modification to those systems. And looking at some of the research that Khulud produced, and we collected the evidence-based, we had evidence-based research to collect the data to know that what could be those new aspects for doing the requirements engineering for AI system. They were based on the needs that are very specifically related to data and uncertainty. So there's a long list of further considerations that needs to be taken into account when building AI systems, specifically from human-centered approach, which you can see on the slide. And so looking at all of that, what last year in the late half of the year when I joined CSIRO, we in the diversity inclusion group with our team lead Didar Zoe. So the task was that how the requirements engineering and diversity inclusion, these two concepts, we are going to bring them together. It's a bit of a challenge. Diversity and inclusion both have very social concepts. There's a lot of research out there available, but how to convert them or engineer it into something that is measurable and that is implementable was the challenge that we wanted to address under the Responsible AI project. So first starting with why do the diversity inclusion at all? AI or not, the research has shown that D&I does have benefits for societies and both organizations, businesses. So considering those that it has led to increase in innovation, better assessment of the consumer interest and demand, companies with ethnic diversity have 35% higher revenue and higher chance of getting in front of the audience, expanding their business segments. So now there are benefits that why can't we implement them when it comes to AI? And at the same time, there have been reports, not just in research, but also in media as well, that what happens when you ignore such initiatives, the problems, the biases in recruitment, all the issues or incidents reported for the facial recognition system. There have been reports about the bank loan decision and healthcare. These are all social, actual incidents happening out in the society. And why? Because there is a decision-making system that is automated and that is displaying those biases for one reason or the other. So here is one example of the large language models, what exclusion means and what exclusion looks like in a visualization. And this is only an example of a snapshot of a data collection there. So large language models trained on the data that's come from internet. Half of the Earth population does not have access to internet. Then we have very, I would say, silent majority who are just the content consumers. And there is a noisy minority who are the content generator. Those content generators dominantly come from the global north. English is the dominant language there, and whatever is available in that language, it's not like of the optimal quality to be used for training a data, training an algorithm that is to be set out to make decisions or to be employed in other scenarios because of all the hate speech, low quality content, misinformation, and useless noise. So this is just a snapshot of data collection. It does not include who are the people, what is the diversity attributes, and who are included in the data collection process, and then who are the people who are actually developing those algorithms, who are the people who are going to label this data. And there have been reports about outsourcing the data labeling to very, I would say, minimum low-paid third world countries where you have to pay very little amount in order to get this data labeled. And what are the consequences? We see the AI incidents in real life based on these algorithms when they are deployed in real life scenarios. There have been consequences of a social harm that comes to actual people. So what we are trying to do is that we want to see how we can take an approach, which is a hands-in-hand approach for diversity and inclusion to develop the AI system. The first is that D&I for AI, which is that AI systems should benefit and embrace the diversity inclusion principles in their design, development, and deployment. So we already have some really good research out there on diversity inclusion. How would that guide an AI design? And then at the same time, how the existing AI solution, they can enhance the D&I. So at the same time, they can accelerate and improve our understanding and practices of diversity inclusion in society. After all, we have AI has been a good mirror to show all the biases that are coming from the humans. AI itself does not exhibit that. It perpetuates, it accepts whatever is coming from the society and giving it back to us. So with this in mind, our mission was that, first of all, we wanted to have a very clear understanding of what D&I in AI means. Then we want to operationalize D&I in AI. The ethical principles coming from the social context, how to make them into a resource that is implementable for the practitioners. And then the final step is to develop the resources around them and present them. So the first step, defining diversity inclusion in AI, this was taken up by our team lead, Didar Zohri, who along with the National AI Center's think tank on diversity inclusion in AI, they all came together. There were rounds of iteration on what it would mean, what would D&I in AI looks like. So over here, you can see that there are 5 pillars that are within the AI ecosystem, and diversity inclusion in AI refers to the inclusion of diverse humans in all these 5 pillars: data, process, system, and governance. AI ecosystem is the context where this whole system, any particular AI system, is going to be implemented, and all these 5 components needs to be addressed. So diversity here will be the representation of the differences in attributes of the humans in any group or society. These attributes are the known facets. We call them protected attributes. There are human rights charters where some of these I have given examples here, which is from standard definition from the team, but these attributes are not limited to what is given here. The second concept, inclusion, is the process of proactively involving and representing the most relevant human with the diverse attributes who are impacted by or have an impact on this AI ecosystem context. So once we have a clear understanding of what we mean by these and what these 5 pillars represent, and if anyone wants to have details about, we are short on time here, but all the details is available in this book chapter. The link is here, provided here, where all these 5 pillars, the book chapter guide provides the outline on not the how behind why of these 5 pillars, that what do they mean and what considerations have to be taken into account too, and why you need to understand them. So the second step, operationalizing the D&I requirements in AI to, so there is a lot of debate at the moment going on between among the researchers about whether the ethical principles that are presented by the researchers, the government, the non-government organization, there are heaps of frameworks and ethical principles out there, but some of the researchers are saying that when it comes to an actual implementation of the AI, design and development, they are pretty much useless. They don't go into the details of how actually is doing. And at the same time, there are researchers who are defending those ethical guidelines that we want to operationalize them, but we need those ethical principles coming from multidisciplinary, diverse voices. That's how we would understand that what is needed to be done. So we, looking at both sides of the debate, we took on the task that how we are going to operationalize, first of all, in the requirement space, and then that is something that can be used for the design. So we started, first of all, with the data collection stage. We analyzed the large set of data and proposed a user story template in order to elicit the requirements. And then we tried to validate them through AI incident database that Qinghua mentioned a while ago. A systematic literature review by one of our team member, Rifat, conducted, and another, Francesca, who did the gray literature review. All of this went into the D&I and AI guidelines development, some of it, the book chapter that I just pointed out. And also this also was guided by the definition that was developed. So we use that definition as a framework in order to analyze whatever was coming from the literature. Then I created the themes from those guidelines, which are, I would say, unique themes that can be used within the user story template that I'm going to introduce in a while in order to elicit the requirements that are about diversity and inclusion. And then finally is the AI incidents, which are the real life scenarios where an incident which is related to something that causes violation of the D&I requirements. Try to see that how well our user stories would help in future to avoid such incidents. Here is one snapshot example of requirement themes that I have selected. You can see I have highlighted number 6 just to give an example. So focusing on the diversity, inclusion in data collection, curation, and use. And this, we have mapped them to the 5 pillars of our definition, that exactly where this falls. So data and humans is this pillar that they correspond to. And there are potential trade-offs. When it comes to diversity inclusion, we have to see that what trade-offs need to be done. So collecting diverse and inclusive data may be resource intensive. You will need time, you will need people, and you will need further resources. There are risk assessments of what would happen when you don't do it. And then the themes, if you are picking up different themes within our list, there may be conflict among different themes which needs to be resolved before moving forward. So this pretty much it's a a guide for the practitioners of how to elicit those requirements through these themes. And here is the user story template, which was created for very specific for this D&I and AI requirements. So here I present 3 examples which relate to different themes in our table. And you can see that the role has to be a diverse role of someone. And the final part is the rationale, because there is something that needs to be avoided, that needs to be achieved through this AI design. So this will provide a requirement for the designers of who want something in the system and why. So another, before the validation one here, our team lead Didar, she came up with this blog on LinkedIn about the black box inspired method to investigating AI incidents, where the incidents that are happening in the real life, which could be used as a resource to avoid those failures. We learn from those mistakes, and then we try to avoid those failures in the future system. So I used this concept in the last step, where I picked up from AI incident database the real life incidents, which, I mean, there could be anything that would be reported. Some are just expectations, but we were very careful about the one that were related to the diversity and inclusion. So here, example of a facial recognition system, and the incident is related to racial issue, which is one is the black man from USA and another from New Zealand, a person from Asian descent, both of them subjected to a discriminatory behavior by the AI system because of their racial problem. So the AI system was not trained, or whatever the problem was. So we used it to generate multiple user stories that could help elicit requirements for the future system in such scenarios. And one of the example I have, which is a high-level example. So using our themes as well as the user story template, we can generate multiple requirements that would help the analyst to define these requirements for the future system. Here's the step 3 where our team led by Didar, we are developing different resources that we are showcasing to the external partners, those who are interested in learning more. We have a set of guidelines, that book chapter that I presented, repository of biases, the question bank, and the challenges that are there for D&I in AI. You can approach me or my other team members in regard to further details on these resources. And here are some of the references to the work of my student Khulud Ahmed, and also with my other team members, Didar and Francesca.
Thank you very much, Muneera. That was an
question.
amazing session. I'm just going to share the Responsible AI network areas, because there's a lot of content that is available there. And we're also going to start by asking some questions as well. So, Qinghua, I wanted to see if you could answer the first question that is from, let me just have a look. Lost it. It is from Sam Rogers. And he says, your presentation is super exciting. My question is around the mode switcher pattern. Who do you think should be given the switch, the user or the developer? And what are the general risks given withholding that ability to general users? So over to you, Qinghua.
Yeah, I think each pattern is a reusable solution, and it already exists in practice. So we are just collecting the solutions from existing applications. For this AI mode switcher pattern, is an example in my presentation. I think it can be used by both developer and the AI system user. What's the question?
Would you like me to read the question again? Or
yes, the last part I missed it.
What are the general risks of giving, withholding that ability to general users?
So I think there are always drawbacks of these patterns. So that's why in the template we have benefits, that's benefits provided by this pattern, and also we have drawbacks. So I think there are trade-offs. So the practitioners, they can read through this description to like help them understand how to use this pattern in the design.
Thank you so much. I've just got this other one that I think you'll be able to answer really quickly. Is there a case study that shows how these patterns are used in practice in a real machine learning project? Can you share some details for the clarification?
I think in one of our slides, I mentioned we have done a case study with a chatbot team. So we have published a paper about that work. So you can read through the paper to get the details. And also the pattern catalog has been used by some startup company. So they embed the process pattern and the product pattern in their platforms. So their platform users, they can embed these patterns automatically into the AI code they develop.
And there is a link to the pattern catalog at the National AI Centre website on the Responsible AI Network page. So you should be able to find that link. But Muneera, I've got a question for you. Do you believe that responsible engineering for AI will be consistent, ongoing process for all organisations?
I think if I understand the question, though, if it's about the engineering process for ongoing, when we talk about inclusion and some of the themes within our data that we extracted, they do talk about inclusiveness throughout the process of development. So that's about the engineering part, that it's not about just, in the beginning asking them about the user needs or trying to understand, but they have to be, involved, and involvement then takes, it's a proper participatory design, or if it's, what kind of methodology of the inclusiveness you come up with depends on available resources and the people. Within all organization, that, it's a very large question. In that term, I would say the governance layer, where the rules and regulations and the framework. So if from the government layer, if there is, mandatory approaches, for example, if you have to do minimum not to run into a law, you're not breaking a law. But after that, how much of a diversity and inclusion or responsible AI you want to achieve will be dependent on the organizational culture and their directives.
Thank you. I've got a really good question here for you, Qinghua. It's just come in. Sustainability is a growing concern. Does the Responsible AI patent catalogue include any patents relating to AI sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's also related to another question shown in the chat box. So I think LinkedIn, we recently shared, we started a project with Affinity company. So we are trying to integrate responsible AI risk assessment into the ESG framework. So from the risk assessment, based on the result, we can link our patents to support to mitigate the risk.
Okay, and I love this question. When will we be able to buy the book, and when is it going to be published, Qinghua?
The editor estimate we can publish the book in November or December this year. So, but I'm not sure the exact date for the publishing.
Stay tuned. We'll be announcing that date soon. There's a lot of interest, Qinghua, around your Data 61 prototype demo and some technical questions. What are your thoughts on the current Falcon model? Are these model tools going to be accessible? How do these model architectures compare in contrast with GPT-4? In a world where human knowledge is supplanted by AI models, what do you see as the future of knowledge work, if any? Very complex question.
Yeah, I think our architecture is for building like foundation model or large language model based systems. So it can be adapted for any existing large language models, and we are working with some startup companies to help them. For example, one of the companies is a digital health platform provider, so we help them identify which functionalities can adopt large language model and what are the concerns or like the criteria when we select a foundation model to replace the current functionality. And I also see the question is, what do you see the future of knowledge work, if any, where human knowledge is supplanted by AI models? So I feel I have seen many talks about human bot teaming. I think we need to think about how to build a supporting platform to support the human and not only chatbot but bot, in terms of accountability, traceability, and we have because our team we used to work on blockchain-based architecture, so we have researchers working on that direction I think to support the future scenarios.
Thank you, Qinghua. I've got one more for you, Muneera. Okay, this is going to be interesting to answer. How can you be inclusive of both non-English speakers and gender neutral?
So so I will give a general answer and then I will get very specific to the themes and what we have extracted from the literature. So the practices, what we are promoting is that the human layer, when we talk about AI for all, and we look at the diversity facets of all. So the linguistic, that slide, you can go back in the recording and see, there was a linguistic capabilities as well as we talk about the gender aspects, which include all facets of that particular construct as well. So all these concepts are coming from the social science research. We are trying to import them into our research. So at the requirements phase, in those themes, it is all included in the themes and the user stories that will be generated to elicit the requirements for a particular system. So for example, the facial recognition system, there has been incidents about the non-binary people being mistakenly, allocated some particular gender. So those kind of the training data set, the emphasis on that. So those requirements will be generated from the themes that we have identified. So I only showed the snapshot of it. We have the complete list and we are open to anyone who is interested to know more about them. And there is for voice recognition system, there have been issues about similar, those who have accents which are not dominantly from the English speaking background and the multilingual, kind of scenarios where we need these solutions embedded in AI. So the stage of the requirements engineering is where you want to know more about it, that what kind of features should be there. So when we're talking about AI for all, it literally means AI for all, that who are going to be the actual users. You need to know about all of them. And that example of chat GPT or LLMs, where I showed the exclusion, those kind of exclusions needs to be avoided in order to achieve that.
So it starts at the beginning of the design. Thank you for the answer, Muneera. I've got another one for you, Qinghua. We've only got a few more minutes left, but the question is, when you say operationalizing ethics principles through responsible AI engineering practices, have you thought about operationalizing the ethic principles in terms of software engineering perspectives? Maybe if an AI development team wants to apply ethics principles at the development stage, then is there any engineering approach that can help developers embed these principles at the development stage, like any programming specific implementation of these principles?
Yeah. So if you can remember, we the pattern catalog has three groups, three categories: governance patterns, development process patterns, and the product design patterns. I think that the developers they should consider to use development patterns and development process patterns and product design patterns. And some of the product design patterns, I think they can be embedded into the code to, like I said, they can ensure the responsible AI by design. For example, the AI mode switcher also have tried with ChatGPT to generate the code skeleton based on the description of the pattern, and I think it works very well. Also, like I mentioned, some companies, they have embedded patterns into their development platform, so the programmers, they can use the pattern. It's like by default into their code.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think we're ready for a last one. Have you developed any models for medical research industry?
Yes. So yes, I think I just mentioned yesterday we have now scheduled regular meetings with a startup company. So they focus on digital platform. They provided COVID service, I think medical services during COVID. So they are now trying to upgrade their platform, try to integrate a large language model into their platform. So we are working on that.
Oh, and I've got the very last one with three minutes left. Given that you have drawn a distinction between the three major facets being governance, process, and product patterns, how can you build a coherent framework between these areas, given that sophistication between processes, products, or even governance may vary in complexity?
I think the idea is try to make the patterns interconnected, like the example I gave, like from upper level. So we want to have lower levels patterns to support, like the government patterns. They are for industrial level stakeholders to use, and how we can achieve that at organization level. Then how can we have our engineering methods to support the upper governance patterns. So that's the idea. We want to make the patterns interconnected. And also we try to use question bank, the risk assessment software tool to select the pattern. Like once we identify the risk in an AI project, then we can map those risks with related patterns. So we recommend the patterns based on the mapping.
Wow, thank you very much. It's been an amazing session. Thanks to everyone who joined us here. Extra special thanks to Muneera and Qinghua, who took us on that journey of responsible AI and implementing diversity and inclusion into your engineering requirements practices. I hope you guys can join us for the next Responsible AI seminar series that's coming up. And meanwhile, this recording will be available in the next week or so you can replay it and have a chance to re-listen to the content, particularly to get some more of that detail. But once again, thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to talking to you again in a few weeks. Ciao.